Welcome to Beyond a Reasonable Doubt, everyone. Today we are continuing through our series on considering Christianity and the existence of God. Today we're on number 7, which is consciousness and logic. So if I was to ask you how people do science, how would you answer? What are people using when they do science? And the answer to that would be their brains, of course. And what is the history of the brain? Well, long story short, if we are talking pure naturalistic evolutionary terms, our brains are simply the product of chance and randomness. Atoms bumping into other atoms over millions of years produced our brains. That is the scientific theory held right now. But if our brains are simply the process of randomness and unguided processes, then why should we trust them? How can we trust any of our thoughts? Yet we all believe our thoughts are rational and logical. But why is that? Why do we think our thoughts can be trusted if our brains came from randomness? I mean, thoughts are immaterial as well. So how can only the physical account for them? I can think of a McLaren Senna in my head, but you can't open my head and pull that McLaren out of my head, right? So clearly our minds are separate from our brains. What we can think of in our minds doesn't equate to physicality in our brains. No other creatures have consciousness the way we do either. And I wonder why that is. We don't even really know what consciousness is, and we are certainly not able to reproduce it. Look at how long it's taken and how many brilliant people have been needed to create AI, which doesn't even come close to the consciousness we have. If anyone has ever tried to use it to find something specific, then you know what I'm talking about. And if we're simply our brains and we don't have a separate mind or a spirit, then are we really free and able to make meaningful decisions? Are personhood, value, and dignity dependent on having a fully functional brain? Once our brain is damaged, does that take our value away? Are the things you believe driven by your brain and therefore meaningless? Under atheism, free will doesn't exist. How can we choose to do anything when our thoughts are simply the result of atoms bumping into each other? Yet, in order to decide to be an atheist, you are exercising your free will. So, in essence, you are refuting atheism by believing in it. So, in summary, guys, you prove that your mind is separate from your brain every time you make a decision. And we all know that we are making our own decisions. Otherwise, why do we lock people up in prison if it wasn't them making those decisions to commit the crimes that put them there in the first place? That's all for today. Like and subscribe, everyone.